Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today, before we get into today's video, just want to give a shout out to our first two giveaway winners. These gentlemen chose the Jean Barbie and the Alaska B as they were Tier 9 premium ships for winning the first 2 days of giveaways that we're doing for the 30k subscriber celebration. Now, from here through Friday, I'm recording this on Wednesday, we have 3 Tier 8 premium ships to give away, or anything below a Tier 8 premium if you so choose so. Just make sure to check your notifications if you commented on the original giveaway video, which was the top 5 coal ship video from last Monday. So now getting into today's video, we have 2 bits of news to go over. One, some changes to quite a few ships and a couple of surprising straight up buffs here too, to some ships that are already in game, some changes to some ships that are not in game yet, including the Pan-Asian cruisers and the Forrest Sherman. And then we have an interesting situation with a Russian Warships YouTuber and streamer that it's a doozy, and we'll get into that mess right here in a minute. But let's start with the ship changes. So as you can tell by the title of this video, Zal did get a buff. This is straight from the Warships dev blog. If you want to check out that dev blog, link will be in the description down below. I'm going to read from there now, talking about the buffs to not only the Zal but a few other ships too. So PT 1011 balance changes. The changes will be applied to Zal, Talon, Fubuki, Yuyang, and test ships. So the Zal number of hit points increased from 42,800 to 44,900. So when the first buff to Zal's hit pool was announced, plenty of players, of course, laughed at the mere 2,000 HP increase. You know, you can need one more overpin from Yami. But the way Wargaming's been going with buffs and nerfs for the past easily 2 years now is they make small incremental changes rather than large sweeping changes, because with large sweeping changes, if you just radically change a ship in one direction, you're probably going to overtune it and you got to tone it back then. So now you wind up in a situation where the ship goes from being maybe just a little bit underpowered to now it's overpowered, so now you got to nerf the ship back down. Those of us that have been around since the CV rework, we should have a very clear memory of that, because CVs during the CV rework, and I've given this example numerous times because it's the best example of it, they went from being, you know, utterly just broken, hand of God, apocalypse in a plane, to just a minor distraction between hot fixes. So in order to avoid that situation here with the Zal, they're just slowly cranking it up. I think they'll probably settle around 48,000, 50,000 HP, which was the Zal's original HP back in the day. Then they removed about 8,000 HP from it. So I think we'll find it settling somewhere around there. But of course, it's more health. The Zal's a very squishy ship, especially in today's World Warships with all the 18-inch guns at higher tier, and now 20-inch guns that are coming in, and with the incomprehensible and the the Shikishima. That's 2 ships with 20-inch guns. And who knows, we'll probably be seeing more in the future. And with the super ships coming too, the new Tier 11 ships, so to say, the Zal needs all the HP it can get. So hopefully, again, we'll see this cranked up to back around 48,000, 50,000 HP. Alright, up next, the Talon, the Tier 8 Soviet cruiser, reduced minimum shell dispersion, which will increase accuracy by about 10%. So basically, it's getting Deadeye baked into it, but it's a cruiser. Now, the Talon wasn't the most popular, well, I should say, isn't the most popular new Soviet cruiser. It wasn't really considered to be that good when it came out, when the line split happened, but it's been out for, shoot, however long the new Soviet cruisers have been out, and people complain that it wasn't that great, but there's a lot of Tier 8 cruisers that they're just in a rough spot because they're at Tier 8, many of them don't have heals, and they're expected to go up against Tier 10 ships, which are just miles and leagues better than them just because they're Tier 10 ships. So they're normally in a pretty rough go of it, like the Hipper. The Hipper isn't necessarily a bad ship when it's, playing against Tier 8 or Tier 9 ships, but put the Hipper against Tier 10 ships, and it's not that fantastic. But okay, more accurate guns from the Talon, alright. Fubuki, the Tier 6 Japanese destroyer. Detectability range by sea decreased from 7.02 to 6.92 kilometers. Other detectability ranges were changed accordingly, so now we have a more stealthy Fubuki. Again, that ship's been out for an eternity now. I'm pretty sure the Fubuki was included in the original IJN lineup, like from the alpha, and now it's getting a buff. But stealthier Fubuki, not by too much. It's literally by about, no, not by about. It's a 1/10 of a kilometer less. So okay. Yu Yang, maximum torpedo damage increased from 17,900 to 18,800. Talk about some unexpected buffs. Yu Yang is not a DD that I thought would get buffed because it's pretty decent. It's well, deep water torps, radar, guns. I guess they needed more torpedo damage or something like that. And truth be told, it's really not the most popular ship. I mean, if you really think about it, how many Yu Yangs have you seen recently? The answer is probably not a lot at tier 10. Mostly a lot of German DD splits, Elbings, and, well, Kabarosks, Klebers, Marceaus, Smolens, Gearings. That's what I've really been noticing at tier 10, mostly in terms of the DDs that we see most commonly now, and of course Shimakaze too. But hey, maybe they're noticing it's a little bit too unpopular, and now they're trying to make it more popular. That is one way that they balance ships. If you're not playing it enough, they will buff it to where you will play it. But apparently it takes quite a bit of a fuss to get the Zhao to get buffed, because shoot, Zhaos are pretty rare at tier 10. Before it got the first buff at least. Alright, the Forrest Sherman, tier 10. Main battery reload time decreased from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Engine boost consumable replaced with hydroacoustic search. Okay, so the Forrest Sherman, if you guys don't know, it has 2 guns on it. They are single Alston guns. So you get 2 of Alston's guns and a 2-second base reload. It's pretty good, and it does have SAP as well. So 2-second base reload, then you can fit the modules on it. Then you can fit the commander skills on it. And then, of course, you throw AR in the mix there, and yeah. This thing's going to be pretty nasty, I think, when it comes out. It's still in testing, of course, too. They can completely change the ship around if they want to. They have done that plenty of times in the past before, but we'll see what happens with the Forrest Sherman. The torpedoes on it are really, really interesting, too. They're mounted at an angle, and there's not really much wiggle room there at all with the torpedo angles. So you've got these very narrow torpedo angles, and it's just very very odd to say. It's a very odd torpedo arrangement. I'm sorry, it has 3 of the Alston guns in single turrets, not 2. I got for some reason I thought it was a freaking small one. But if it did have 2 of Alston's guns and a 2-second reload, I think it would still be pretty decent with just that. But 3 of them and a 2-second base reload. We'll see how that goes. All right, Japanese super destroyer Yamagiri. Chain characteristics: the Type 93 Mod 3 torpedoes. Maximum torpedo range reduced from 12 to 8 kilometers. Torpedo speed increased from 67 to 76 knots. Torpedo detectability range by sea increased from 1.7 to 1.8 kilometers. Maximum torpedo damage reduced from 23,767 to 21,367. Okay, so a bit of a retooling for her Type 93 torpedoes. A bit closer range, but you picked up on speed and lost on detectability and damage by a little bit. Alright. So the Pan-Asian cruisers, the Jinan, that's the tier 10. This is the Tech Line Alston. Main battery reload time reduced from 3.8 to 3.5 seconds. Maximum main battery firing range increased from 13.5 to 14.5 kilometers. Torpedo tube time reduced from 133 to 126. Now, do remember that these cruisers have the torpedo reload consumable, and they have long-range torpedoes for cruisers. I saw a division of 2 Jinan playing, and man, they completely just shut down the center of the map because they just absolutely flooded it with their torpedo launchers. It's kind of nutty. Alright, the Xinjiang, the tier 9. Main battery reload time decreased from 5.25 to 5 seconds. Main battery firing range increased from 13.3 to 14 kilometers. Torpedo tube reload time decreased from 133 to 126 seconds. So the range increase I think is needed because these are tier 9 and tier 10 cruisers, and even a 14 and a 14.5 kilometer range for the Xizhong and Jinan respectively, that's still quite short by tier 10 standards. And yeah, even if you build into that, that's gonna be still not that long at that tier, and these ships have paper armor. And the Jinan, again, it's the Alston, but it doesn't get the improved hill. You can season it with just about every battleship at tier 10 and delete it. Alright, the Dalian, which is the tier 9 premium Pan-Asian DD. Main battery, DD cruiser. Main battery reload time increased from 4.5 to 5 seconds. The Harbin, which is the tier 8 Pan-Asian cruiser. Main torpedo range increased from 10 to 11 kilometers. 180-degree turret time reduced from 18.6 to 7.2 seconds. Main battery firing range increased from 13 to 13.5 kilometers. Hull B torpedo protection reduced from 25 to 4%. Oh man, dang, that's terrible. 25% torpedo damage reduction. That's around right for tier 8. At least tier 8 heavy cruisers. Some of them have torpedo protection around that level, but 4%. God, that's wow. That's quite the loss. All right, the Chumphon, which is the tier 7 Pan-Asian cruiser, added the torpedo reload booster consumables. Oh, so they're starting to get it at tier 7 now. Main battery firing range increased from 12.7 to 13.2 kilometers. Maximum torpedo damage increased from maximum torpedo range increased from 9.5 to 10.5 kilometers. So another kilometer of range, and you get the reload booster down the Chumphon. That's going to be very memey at tier 7. And these are all deep water torpedoes too, by the way. Alright, Soviet destroyer Delny, the tier 10. Maximum main battery firing range increased from 11.5 to 13.1 kilometers. The Delny is the DD that is going to be replacing the Khabarovsk. She's pretty much a bigger Tashkent, so more base range there is very nice on that DD. I wonder if they'll let it get to like pre-nerf Kaba ranges where you can like be burning people down from like 16-ish, 17 kilometers away in the Khabarovsk, which was quite the show back in the day. And if you do have the Khabarovsk, by the way, you are going to get it as a premium ship once it gets removed from the tech tree. And if you still want the Khabarovsk, you can obtain her via coal if you want to do so. Alright, next bit of news. So, you might have seen, if you are a peruser of the Warships subreddit, or apparently this is making the rounds on the news websites that cover the CC walkout as well, you might see headlines such as Wargaming bans Russian YouTuber, Russian streamer's channel on YouTube for his comments. And that is true, but there's a little bit more to it than that. So, for me at least, I first saw this on Reddit in a post, and I'll show you a screenshot of the post right here, and I'll read from it real quick. So, the post says, one of the most popular Russian streamers, Norman Est Omen, faced Wargaming's rage and found that all of his videos have been removed from the channel. He got 4 warnings for copyright infringement of visual elements of World Warships. Obviously, his YouTube account was reported by Wargaming. The guy himself says that if you want to stream World Warships legally, you got to get Wargaming's approval of using their content, but because of obvious reasons, they don't want it. He's been playing this game since 2015 and used to be popular, but in the last couple of years, he wasn't happy with the current state of World Warships, as most of us probably share. He's not intended to complain about this whole situation simply because he doesn't care. And the fact that Wargaming removes channels for such reasons tells a lot about the company. And he linked to his old channel and his new channel in the description of this, in the description, and this Reddit post. I'm stuck in my YouTuber mindset. So, just reading that off the bat, it sounds terrible. It sounds like someone had their channel removed for criticizing Wargaming and such. It's kind of like a Sir Foch incident. That was back before I even started playing World of Warships. You don't know Sir Foch. I don't know if he still does it because I don't play water tanks that much. I don't keep up with it. But he is a water tanks YouTuber who criticized, I think it was the Chrysler's something or another's new vehicle they had into the game. Basically, it was pay to win. Didn't have any weak spots from the front. Went on a rant about it on his YouTube channel, and Wargaming gave him a copyright strike to have the video removed from YouTube. Now, copyright strikes are very rough on YouTubers. because it counts as a community guideline strike, and you get 2 of those and your channel's done for 2 weeks, and then you get another one that's disabled for, I think, shoot, if they haven't changed, I think it's a month or so. You get 4, your channel's just blasted off the face of the platform, and this guy got 4 in 1 day. Now, I went and looked up this guy's channel to see how big it was. It's just about the same size as mine, so yeah. I've put a lot of work into this channel. This channel's getting around 5 years old now. I've been doing this since I was in college. So building up a channel to this size is no small task. And just that the man's YouTube channel was blasted off the face of the platform in 1 day is pretty terrible. But there's more to it. So if you go down into the comments on, I don't know what you call this, the thread, I guess. I'm trying to speak Reddit here. You start to see several comments from Russian-speaking individuals that add a little bit more to this post. So this one person who probably paints the clearest picture here is a man by the name of GBR 2021. So he says, as a Russian speaker, I have been occasionally watching a No Man's stream for maybe 3 to 4 years. Aside from having some absurd views about the game itself, Thunder, Georgia, Alaska being bad, Kremlin unplayably bad. I'll say Kremlin's been nerfed pretty hard, but it's not unplayable. DDs and Smokes being OP, general poor level of knowledge about the game and its mechanics. He has been very abrasive and offensive in a way Foch has never even dreamt to be. No Man is a guy who would spend 30 minutes describing how Wargaming employees of his choice should fornicate their mothers. On top of it, an endless stream of racist slurs, Wargaming catering to the, I'm not even going to attempt to say anything about that, and the West, and homophobia all over. So while I wouldn't piss on Wargaming if they were on fire, No Man's the last guy you should rally behind. He is a Zoop rather than a Foch. That's a bit of a interesting comparison there, because Zoop's situation was completely different from this. Zoop just got removed from the CC program for some comments on Twitter that were taken out of context and got circled around the community. Now, of course, that's a whole nother video for another day, but there's a difference between being a CC and representing a company, and then you say something that the company doesn't necessarily support on another platform, and then you get removed from the CC program. Zoop still has a channel, hasn't gotten copyrighted striked or anything like that. But what he's saying is that it's a situation where he's running his mouth and saying things that shouldn't be said, and then Wargaming took action to copyright strike him. Now, before we get into the merits of whether or not Wargaming should be doing this, let's read Wargaming's response, because they did respond to it. Evan responded, who is the head of the NA team. So he says, "Evening sailors, we value any content dedicated to our game, regardless of whether it contains any criticisms or not. We can disagree with the creator's position, but we will respect it and take into account as long as it's presented in a relatively civilized way. We also understand that we all get emotional when talking about the game sometimes, so we always look for the essence of the content without taking the emotional delivery personal. Dozens of creators who openly criticize the game and who do so in a rather emotional way are proof of that. However, there's a line between being passionate and being outright offensive, as well as being criticizing the game and insults, slurs, and other extreme expletives. We have no issue with people disliking the game or its aspects, but we are not fine with crossing these lines. Unfortunately, as described by GBR 2021, this has been the case with the content creator in question. The comparison to Sir Foch is not lost on us, and is exactly why we always try to resolve conflicts through dialogue first. We tried to address the situation with them several times over a very long period of time, months and years. However, despite these attempts, we kept having to deal with slanders, extreme slurs directed at other players, content creators, and company employees, as well as calls to violate our EULA. In the end, as we exhausted the means to resolve the issue through mediation, we have to take action using our other tools at our disposal, even though we believe such measures should be avoided whenever possible. Looking back at the Warships community history, through all our ups and downs, our content creators have always been free to speak their minds about the game. There have been many cases where when we have reached out to some of them regarding the tone of their content, their language, or imagery used, and we've always been able to find resolutions without escalation. We do believe this is the way it should be. However, in rare cases like this, when dialogue proves insufficient, time and time again, we are committed to taking harsher action as applicable to each individual case. Thank you, the Warships team. Okay, so being an YouTuber, that has given me some insights into the whole YouTube situation. And if you guys have been watching the channel long enough, you guys know that I have a not a copyright strike, I have a community guideline strike on my channel for content. If you guys remember, a few years ago, we set out to make a cinematic recreation of the Battle of the Denmark Strait, which is, of course, the Hunt for Bismarck, if you don't know that. And I made like this trailer for it that didn't really get finished, and I made it like a year before we actually sat down and made the video. And in the trailer for it, I had footage from the Bismarck's launch. Now, in that footage from the Bismarck's launch, there were what I now call angry plus signs, which put 2 and 2 together with Hitler's Germany and their symbol. You get an angry plus sign. I say that because I don't even want to mention the name of it anymore, because it's what got me my guideline strike. And that guideline strike sticks with your channel for all eternity, unless you get it appealed and removed, which I tried to get it appealed, and within 10 minutes, I was denied that appeal. That's how sensitive the system is in YouTube. Now, this guy, Noman, I don't know if it's because it's Russian and maybe the bots that listen and watch your content don't catch it, but if what's being described here by GBR 2021 and several others in this thread is true, I'm surprised the man's still on YouTube. The YouTube system, it's mostly automated, and it's very sensitive to what you say, what images are shown up in your videos and such. And it's surprising that he's managed to get away with it for this long. Now, again, it could be because he speaks Russian, and maybe the system and the AI isn't well-tuned in Russian as it is in English. But yeah, that's what really surprises me from the get-go. Okay, so he's still on YouTube. YouTube hasn't taken his channel down. He has a channel with about the same size as mine, which is relatively small in YouTube terms. So he's managed to get past the YouTube system. And Wargaming, you know, he's saying these pretty honestly horrible things about Wargaming employees directly, and using this very volatile language that obviously Wargaming does not appreciate, and that is in violation of not only Wargaming's EULA. You can't say those things in game, and I don't know if he's saying them in chat or whatnot while he's playing, but I'm sure if he's, you know, slinging it all over the place and on his YouTube channel, probably in game as well. And it is a violation of YouTube's terms of service as well. So they give him a copyright strike on 4 of his videos, which of course disables his channel. Now, is it Wargaming's place to do that? In my opinion, no. It's not their place to hand him 4 copyright strikes, to cease him from posting about Warships on YouTube using his language and his, let's say, presentation skills. What they should have done is just handed it over to YouTube. Wargaming, Warships itself, their channel is relatively small, but Wargaming itself, I mean, shoot, you got World of Tanks, which is an absolutely massive game. I'm sure they have YouTube reps. Absolutely. They could have just got in contact with them and had them approach this channel from their side of things and handle it in the correct way, rather than just abusing the copyright strike system and doing this. I do agree that the guy, from what we've seen here on the subreddit and from what other Russian-speaking people have said, the guy did clearly violate YouTube's terms of service, just judging by what we've seen in the thread from people who have watched his channel. We can't see the channel for himself anymore because all the videos have been removed, but from what we've seen from people that have watched his channel have told us, yeah, he violated YouTube's terms of service, but that's for YouTube to handle. That's not for Wargaming to go ahead and, you know, pull out the old copyright strike and have his channel removed. And like I said, Wargaming for sure has people they can talk to at YouTube, thanks to the size of their, I'm sure, Water Tanks channels and such. And they could have had this resolved that way rather than just using this system. And it is very polarizing. It's literally the nuclear option when it comes to YouTube. It's the last thing you want to do because sure, it's very effective at getting the content removed from the platform, but now it looks like, well, what it looks like here, you're abusing the system to silence someone that's critiquing you. Even though they may be a terrible person in terms of their behavior online, it's still not for Wargaming to decide, it's for YouTube to handle. And that's what I think about it, but that's my 2 cents. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about both the changes to the test ships and the situation here with Noman. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on the way to 35,000 subs, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday and wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.